All right, the New York Knicks lose to the Milwaukee Bucks 121-111, their second straight L after starting the season off 2-0. A very disappointing loss. The Knicks go on the road now. Listen, they were without Mitchell Robinson. They're without Deuce McBride. They were without Yabusele. So you're missing three rotation pieces going into a road game against Giannis Antetokounmpo and a Milwaukee Bucks team that has looked better this year so far. It looks like they're going to be at least a playoff team, a team that should be taken seriously so far in the year, but nonetheless, a very disappointing loss for me considering how well they came out. Brunson came out firing on all cylinders, and the defense looked really good to start. Stopping dribble penetration, not letting Giannis get to the hoop, and then all of a sudden, everything kind of seemed to turn, and the defense kind of fell apart. You had a bad cat game. You had a bad bench game. This was a game where you kind of realize the Knicks are a little hurt here, and I'm not just talking about Deuce missing time. I'm not just talking about Mitchell Robinson being out. Josh Hart coming back from injury still doesn't really look the same. Didn't really shoot the ball. Didn't shoot the ball well. Didn't look like himself. Jalen Brunson got hurt towards the end of the game. Now, he did come back in. Reporter did ask him if he's going to miss some time. He kind of laughed at it, so I'm not really worried about that. But the Knicks just did not look right all night from pretty much the second quarter on. I thought they came out looking great. I was ready to comment on how good they looked on defense and how easy it was on offense. And at times in the first half, it was too easy, it felt like. I thought Landry Shamet filled in admirably in the starting lineup. I think having him in the starting lineup and moving Josh to the bench is the right thing to do. But still, you saw a lot of minutes with Josh Hart and Karl-Anthony Towns, which I think affected some of the offensive flow there. Jalen tried to carry the team, could not do so. I thought we had a very below-average game from OG Anunoby. Just overall, disappointing loss because they just lost to Miami, and that happens, right? You go on the road, you catch an L. It's not a big deal. It's the NBA. It's going to happen. Kind of wanted them to come back and give a full 48 of hard-nosed New York Knicks basketball, and we got it for a little bit. But then everything just kind of seemed to fall apart against the Milwaukee Bucks team that, even though the Knicks were missing pieces, a game I think they could have won, but didn't. And, I want to go talk about pretty much the most concerning thing to me, which was Karl-Anthony Towns just did not look right all game. He's playing through a quad injury. Don't know how bad it is. But if it's this bad, maybe he should be sitting a little bit. And I know the Knicks are shorthanded right now. We don't know how long Mitch is going to be out. Josh still isn't Josh. Deuce is out for personal reasons, so we don't know how long he's going to be out. Yabusele missed time. Maybe Cat feels some pressure to play. Maybe Cat feels some pressure to perform, but he just did not look right today. I think a lot of it also has to do with the offense going stagnant in the second half. You didn't see the ball movement. You didn't see the Mike Brown effect, to say, in the offense, especially when Karl-Anthony Towns had the ball too many times where he's in the post trying to bang with Kyle Kuzma. And Cat can do that from time to time, but that's not his game, right? What makes Cat special is the ability to step out the three-point arc and spread the floor. Would like to see more of a 5-out lineup. Now, I know, again, maybe he didn't have the personnel to do it today, but getting Karl-Anthony Towns out in the perimeter, having him step into some shots, hitting the three ball, I think would have been very beneficiary to Karl-Anthony Towns and his confidence. Also with his quad, it's easier on that. You're not really forcing him the ball down low and forcing him to be physical, something that he doesn't really like to do. Kyle Kuzma said after the game that, he's known Cat for years. He's played against Cat for years in this league. He knows that if you get physical with him, you can kind of throw him off. And that's what seemed to happen today. I am suspecting that Karl maybe is more hurt than we are being led to believe right now. Now, if you suit up and you play, you got to suit up and play. You can't really complain about it. That's the one thing that I wish that Karl kind of, knew or understood. If you're going to do this, if you're going to play hurt, then play. If you're not going to get 100% out of you, especially early season, just rest, man. Like, it's not that serious. We don't need you hurting your quad or pulling something in your quad and now you're out for a couple months, Rather you rest for a week or 2 weeks, whatever it is, heal that up so that when you come back, we get Karl-Anthony Towns at 100%, because that's not what we saw today. We did not see Karl-Anthony Towns at 100%. I know that some Knicks fans are just thinking, this is just what he is. This is what we're going to get from Karl-Anthony Towns. It's just inconsistent play, physical, sometimes not physical. That's what he's been in this league for years. And although I do agree with that on some level, I still think he could have been utilized better. Out of all 4 games so far, this game has been the most disappointing overall. They did catch an L against the Heat, but that happens. Today it just seemed like they were reverting back to who they used to be. Now, Jalen did score 36 points on 25 shots. I thought he was great, and that's not a knock on him, but I would like to see more ball movement, just more of the Mike Brown effect to say. Now, again, you're missing Deuce McBride, who's your sixth man, who is your sharpshooter off the bench. You're missing Yabusele, who's also somebody who can spread the floor, even though, granted, he hasn't been playing that well since he's been here. Mitchell Robinson, who protects the rim. The Bucks shot 20 of 21 at the rim today. What is that? No rim protection from the New York Knicks. And again, this game started out so promising, and it just turned out to be a very disappointing game. Now, it's only 4 games into the season, but I'm comfortable enough to say that this is probably the most disappointing game of the season so far. Now, where do we go from here? Again, it's a process. I've been saying this since the preseason. I said this to start the year. You don't really judge game to game in the NBA. It's not the NFL. You got to take it 10 games at a time. You got to identify trends. You got to identify habits, good and bad. You got to be able to identify where you're going and what direction you're going in. So maybe in a couple games, maybe in 4, 5, 6 games, we see where the Knicks are at. We'll see where the record's at. We'll see if there's been any improvements from the first game of the season to the 10th, 11th game of the season, and we go from there. For me, the biggest thing is right now the Knicks just have to be healthy. They've started off the season. It's been weird. It's been Josh Hart and Cat and Mitch, and we never really know who's going to play. You never know how many minutes someone's going to get. It's just a weird vibe when it comes to who's available and who's not. And I think it's very hard to form any type of chemistry and cohesion with a new head coach if you don't have the lineups that he wants in there all the time. How can the starting 5 develop chemistry if our starting 5 hasn't even played any minutes together? How can the bench develop chemistry if someone's in and out every single game? So until we see a healthy Knicks team or a relative healthy Knicks team, it's going to be hard to judge this team. It's going to be hard to say definitively what they actually are. But nonetheless, you still want to win. And unfortunately tonight, the Knicks just did not do that. Now, their next challenge will come on Friday against the Chicago Bulls, who are 3-0 right now. They are a team that can score the basketball. They like to run. This is something that the Knicks are focusing on themselves as well. They want to run. They want to pick up the pace. They want to shoot more threes. Well, this Chicago Bulls team likes to do that. So it's going to be a track meet. Let's just leave it at that. Now, they're not known for their defense like the Knicks are known for at least playing defense. So this is a game that I think the Knicks should win on paper. But again, you never know. It should be a good bounce back game. My whole thing is hopefully Deuce is back from what's going on personally. Now, take all the time you need, Deuce. It's your life. Don't know what's going on, but get right or take care of the situation that needs to be handled. Hopefully Josh feels better. Hopefully, Kat, if your quad's feeling fine, play. But if it's not, rest, man. And hopefully you get better games out of an OG Anunoby, Ariel Hukporti, who I thought was pretty much invisible today. And hopefully Yabusele's back and he's making an impact. Jordan Clarkson, is playing okay. Maybe we'd like to see more offensive firepower from the bench with Jordan Clarkson a little bit. But right now, the Knicks are in this weird place where they got off to a 2-0 start, and now all of a sudden it's 2-2, and now we're questioning, okay, what is this team, right? Because they beat the Cavs pretty decisively on opening night. They beat the Celtics pretty decisively, and we're thinking, oh, okay, we're here, we're back. These are the Cavs. A lot of people are picking to win the East. Granted, they were missing players. It was still a good win. The Celtics are the Celtics, so it's good to beat them at any time. And we were kind of riding high on there, but then you go on the road, you lose 2. And now questions are coming back. So this is a test for Mike Brown. How are you going to handle this? How are you going to handle the egos? How are you going to handle the rotation? How are you going to handle these injuries? What can you adjust? What adjustments can you make next game so the offense looks smoother for 4 quarters, so the defense plays hard and protects the rim for 4 quarters? What are you going to do to adjust to what just happened in Milwaukee? A nice early test for the New York Knicks. They're going to happen throughout the season. Like I said, give it some time. 10, 11, 12 games in. We'll judge trends. We'll do that. But until then, let's not freak out. We know what we have here in New York. We know that we have a championship contender, but we also know we have a new head coach with a new philosophy, and we have some injured players right now. We just got to get right. So hopefully we get right soon. All right, listen, subscribe to the channel. Trying to build a community here of Knicks fans. Again, this is the most anticipated Knicks season since the Ewing era. So I'm trying to take your comments. I'm trying to use your comments as content, your questions as content. The Knicks are 2-2 right now. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Scale 1 to 10. How well do you think the Knicks are playing? What would you like to see? What lineups would you like to see Mike Brown try? Who would you like to see get more minutes? What are you thinking so far? Are you panicking? Are you calm? Let me know in the comment section below. I'll use your comments. We'll do an episode with just comments going forward. And make sure you subscribe. We're trying to build a huge community here, Knicks fans. Like I said, objective Knicks fans, but people who are definitely rooting for the New York Knicks. I'll catch you tomorrow for another episode of Knicks Latest. Peace.